Good evening. It's November 9th, and we're getting ready to have a great learning experience tonight. I think we've got a program lined up for you that will give you lots and lots of information about planning your business and creating a business planner and moving forward from there. Hopefully you can hear me okay, and that these slides are moving on your screen for the PowerPoint. It's loaded with information. I'm Steve Carver, and I'm talking to you from my home office studio in Dunn, North Carolina. And we're being sponsored tonight by the Small Business Center at Nash Community College in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. The new director there is Ruthie Holman, and so happy to announce that she is new in that job. We've had the pleasure to be working with her and for a couple of years now, and so excited when she was named director recently. She's just a really top-notch advisor, and will give you lots of good support and works really hard at it. So if you'd like to set up a meeting with Ruthie, and she will welcome that if you give her a call at 252-451-8344. Add Ruthie to your non-paid employee list or free consultants, and you won't ever regret it. If you go over to the campus there in the William S. Carver building, up on the second floor, there's a really nice office suite up there and a good place to hold conferences. So thank you all for coming in tonight and coming back from last week. We're going to be going steady. If you want to stay with it for a few weeks here and see how much we can learn, we'll be on board pretty much every Wednesday night, lots of Mondays and lots of Thursdays. And so plan to come on board every time you can. If I get your email address, I'll send you a reminder before meetings. And once you get into the groove, I'll send you your study guides in advance so you can have them opened up and maybe follow them along a whole lot easier. So thanks a lot for coming on. So here we are. This week and tonight, we're going to be working on business plans and business planners. Next week, we're going to be working on marketing primarily, and we'll take it up from there. That's in this series that we're, the 6-part series we're working with. The full schedule for me this rest of this year looks like this. Of course, here tonight, we are doing the business planner. Next Tuesday night at 6:30 as a part of this program, we'll be talking about how to market your business. And on Wednesday night next week, we'll be talking about how to find and keep the best employees and how to make them happy, and also how to see lots of dreams come true that are related to your work. So this week we're winding up a great week with lots of attendance. And next week we've got two interesting nights to pursue. I hope you'll join us for all of them. No charge, and the sign-in information will be as valuable as you're doing tonight, and be glad to have you on board. So, study guides that went out to you already, or I'll be glad to send them to you tomorrow. If you haven't got your study guides yet, please go to the chat board and make sure I got your name and email address, and let me know that I need to mail them to you, and I'll be glad to do that. There's a whole passel of them. Always the ones that indicate our presentation number are all the talking points in the outline of the presentation tonight. But lots and lots of more information in here to help you get your homework done, if that's what you're up to, and to understand better what's going on in the program. Tomorrow, or maybe even tonight, the network, the Small Business Center network, will send you a survey via email. Please look out for that. It may end up in your spam or whatever, but when you see this survey come in, take the time to fill it out and send it back in. They're going to ask you how you like my presentation, where you found the information about the network, and a lot of good information to be gained there. So fill that survey out and send it on in, if you will. Everybody will be better off, and this is one of the ways that we gauge how much funding that we can get for the webinars program. I want to tell you right now, as we move into week 2 here, or program number 2, that being in small business, being an entrepreneur is not for the faint of heart. You're headed into an area that's going to require some courage and perseverance and a lot of endurance. So it's very rewarding. You'll have a lot of security, but it's not an easy ride. There'll always be bumps in the road when you're an entrepreneur. I've been doing it for 65 years, and I can tell you that it's always a surprise or something else coming every single day. And my job is to motivate myself as my own business owner, but it's also to help motivate you and to help you motivate your customers. So that word assertive will always come up sometime, and we have to be assertive. It's not a word that we use a lot, and some people think of it in a negative way, but there's nobody motivated until someone else is assertive, and I'm hoping that's where you'll be. Got some challenges for you, all related to Facebook. Our program, we can monitor how well we're doing and practice our things that we talk about here in our sessions so easily and so effectively on Facebook, and actually take that information from that social media and start making money. So I want to ask you to try to find my pages at Facebook. Let me know you're there, either like or send me a message so that I know you are, and so that I can find you there in your Facebook operations. If you're not on Facebook yet, I want to encourage you to give it 100% consideration to go ahead and make that move. There's plenty of people around that'll help you get on and up and running. But my Facebook page is personal is Anthony Stephen Carver. You'll see all of them seen. I've also got one business page called 360 Business. I've got another that's called Carver Equipment. I'd like for you to visit all of them so that you can see how you can take your personal page and create many, many more business pages to help promote your different profit centers. There's another real important Facebook page I want you to find, and that's the one that I will and you will all support each other at the Academy of Entrepreneurs and Associates. If you go looking for that on Facebook, just type in Academy of Entrepreneurs and Associates, and you'll see this screen. Come on board and like it and join the group. You're welcome to join, and we'll follow each other as we move forward down our road of entrepreneurship. We watch how our fellow classmates are using that to grow their business and hopefully start making some good money. So please accept these challenges, spend some time on Facebook, get there yourself, and start networking with these different pages. So last week we had quite a few of you to show up and get started on part one. This is part two. And I will be keeping up with attendance, always welcoming you back. Even if you have to skip, it's okay to come on back. It's okay to visit as many times as you'd like. But hopefully by next week, you all will start sending me some business cards or business plans or mission and vision statements. I'd like to have a photograph from all of you so that we can start promoting you and your business right here on the Academy and during these webinars, and watch each other grow as we go. If you will send me the information, I'll do all that I can to help promote you and your business and show you how to make it start working better. So I'll do my part. Now I want you to do yours and find the endurance to stay in the game and make it happen. I've got a real special bonus for us tonight if we get to it tonight. If we don't get to it tonight, we'll certainly do it next week. So, my friends, it's time to get started. Procrastination and entrepreneurship are bitter enemies of each other. I know that all of you have had a busy day today. I have myself. I've done my business today, carverequipment.com, and working real hard. But I've also got this business tonight that I've been looking really forward to because it's more fun for me than work. But we have to create the time to make it happen. And Caitlin, so glad to hear you say that you're creating more time to get started. And Darcy is having to carve out time and really making some good moves. I can't wait to help start promoting your website and other things you're doing. So it's time just to get to work. So I sent you by email today, if I had your address, the homework assignments that you'll need to kind of get moving and feel like you're making progress. Different items that are some of these items will be required for your certificates, But sharing your photo, sending me a copy of your business card, naming your business or side hustle or DBA or whatever you want to call it, but put a name on it so we'll have something to point at and brag on you. You're going to need to tell me about at least 5 markets, marketable profit centers, 5 different ways you're going to make money, or ever how many you have. If it's 1, we'll talk about that. And I'll try to help you figure out some additional profit centers you can add. Your mission, vision, and promise statements are really, really important to get into. And the handout that I sent you, the study guide, gives you great examples to get your statements up. They don't have to be long paragraphs, but just a basic statement of where you want to go with your business and what you believe in. And so I want you to start sending those right on back in to me. All this by email. When you complete one of your projects, just send it to me by email, and I'll keep a record of it and credit it towards your certificates that you're coming. Getting active on Facebook is going to be really important for all of us. And also, when you actually have a name of your business and you're ready to do business, and I know this may not come real quick, but when it does get here, I want to get you on My Business on Google, because that's just like having an extra website. And then really, really encourage you to let's get a video. This is just take your phone or have someone hold your phone or help you along with it. Just introduce yourself, your name, and what kind of business you are started, and just tell us a little bit about yourself, and we'll go from there. Now, this week, maybe over the weekend, I'll try to send you some samples of videos that your classmates have done, just to give you a feel for how you might want to do yours. Once you get into the YouTube business of making YouTube videos, then you can have a channel, and that's just like having another website of your own to help people find you and do business. Once you learn how to write a testimonial, that is, how to say good things about a business or an operation and put it in a testimonial form, and use your Small Business Center and My Academy as a way to get testimonials, but we would appreciate it. But the main thing is it teaches you how to write it, because when you send other people testimonials, they're more likely to send them back to you. Or lots of times people will say, when you ask them to do a testimonial, they say, well, you just go ahead and write it for me and I'll sign it. And that's just fine, because how you get your testimonial, that's how you need it. That's how you want it, because you're going to need them online to move forward. And then I want you to pay close attention to your study guide that's titled 40 Street Smart Drill Skills. They're very important for you to do those. I'd like for you to read through them. And if you can find time to do that, paraphrase them and send it to me, and that'll help you get on the Extra Mile Award there. And more importantly, as you start owning the drill skills, it'll give you so much self-confidence and self-assurance that you've got a good enhanced tool belt with skills in it. So let's get started tonight, as we will through the whole series, with the next 8 drill skills that we'll talk about. Last week we talked about 8, so tonight we'll pick it up with some more. Last week we talked about what do you want a business plan for, and that is strictly to tell you what's left, and that'll be our main focus tonight in our program. Why do you want a marketing plan? To tell you what's next, let you know what business is coming your way. There's 3 types of profit centers that they bring in new business. Number 2 is those where you can make more money. That's repeat business. And number 3, how to put together big ticket items. So you can have some large deposits sometimes. We talked about the RFCs, the Raving Fan customers. We'll talk about them more tonight. And then we talked about NDCP on Tuesday. No demand, change your plan. That's saying we're going to do a business plan, but I want you to know right now we're going to have to keep changing it as time goes on. And always be connecting the dots, A, B, C, D, putting our dots together in a circle so that we have a business that rolls and doesn't bump. Number 7, and we've got Tim on board tonight. Hey, Tim, glad to have you on board. You mentioned this last night. The 3 most important words for every entrepreneur: by the way. By the way. Yes, you buy one thing from me, and then I'm going to say to you, and by the way, I've also got this, and I've also got that, and I've also got that. When you have your profit centers lined up, so that a person buys one thing from you, and you're able to say, and by the way, we've got this or this or that, you're able to make multiple sales to the same customer. That's called upselling. And upselling equals stacking profits. Because instead of just making one profit with a customer, as you increase these sales with upsells, you stack your profits and your profitability goes way up while your overhead does not. So a real significant thing that we'll talk a lot about all through our series. By the way, so important. Now we got to catch some customers. But to catch fish, we had 3 important rules, remember? Keep fresh bait in the water. Number 2, keep fresh bait in the water. And guess what number 3 was? Keep fresh bait in the water. It's always going to be true. How do you catch customers? You keep fresh promotions in front of their face. You get in the habit, and just part of your DNA, that you're going to be sending out constant promotions to your customers. And if you keep reminding them how good stuff you got, they'll keep buying it from you. You fall down on this and get lazy, they stop buying from you. It's just a fact, Jack. So listen to it and buy that idea, because that's the way it works. Number 9, the best way to find customers. What is the best way to find customers? What is the best way to find customers? Answer: help them find you. What's the best way to find customers? Help them find you. You don't want to have to go chase everybody all over the countryside, looking under beds and in ditches and out by the barn and downtown and uptown. You do all this, you're not going to have enough time to run your business. But if we build a business plan and a marketing plan that's like a magnet, that's bringing the customers to us, helping them find us, then we've got a better chance of making it. And I'm going to guarantee you, do a whole lot less work to end up having a good business. So I ask you now, what is the very best way to find customers? And your answer is? Somebody tell me.
Help them find you.
Say it again, everyone.
Let them find you. Help them find you.
Help them find you. Thank you very much. Amen. All right. Help them find you. Number 10, we can't be all things to all people. We're not Walmart. We're not Food Lion. We're just entrepreneurs getting our little business started. So we can't be all things to all people, but we must be everything to some people. And those some people will become our raving fan customers. So I'll say to you again, and then I'll ask you to repeat with me. We can't be all things to all people, but we must be everything to some people. We must be what?
Everything to
some people.
Everything to some people. When we're building our business with this DNA as motivating us, it will really make a lot of difference and help us. Now, talking about finances, and I need to put this in here. Sometimes when you first get started, and some of the businesses I've helped to get started, start making money right away, big money. And the thing is, what I don't want you to do is to say, well, because I've got some extra money in the bank account this month, I don't pay off some of these debts. Now, paying off debts is the right thing to do. But if you've got long-term debts that are paying their own way, and you justified them when you bought the stuff, because it would pay its own way, then do not pay off long-term debts with short-term cash flow money. Just because you've got a little money today, I will guarantee you there's a curveball coming down the road in the future that's going to try to wipe your bank account out. And if you've used up all your reserves, you know what you have to do? Go out of business or go in debt. It's not a pretty thing. So every time you get a chance to salt away a little bit of extra money and start building a cash reserve to take advantage of good deals or for rainy day expenses that you didn't plan for, you do it. Pay your bills on time. Pay your debts on time. But it's really important, and it's more important that you create a reserve, a rainy day reserve, than it is for you to pay off debts before you had planned to. Okay? Just keep that in mind. This tonight and next week and the following week, we're going to talk a lot about marketing, and we're going to talk a lot about advertising. And as entrepreneurs just getting into the game, I want you to know that there is a major difference in the way you need to consider those two words. And a lot of people mix them up differently than what I'm saying, but for the purposes that we need now for the next few weeks, I want us to think about marketing as looking at the long term or the big picture. Our marketing plan needs to put us in a position in the world that people will recognize who we are and keep recognizing us day after day, day after day. So it's very, very important that it works that way. In other words, our marketing plan and marketing budget is planning to spend a little bit of money all the time. Not any great big bucks to wipe us out, but enough money that we're putting out there to keep the public aware of the fact that we are alive and that we're hungry and we're treating people right and we're here for them. Like when I say you're in good hands with, y'all automatically say Allstate, right? Mm-hmm. That's the example. Allstate has spent enough money through the years that people understand that they're there, and if they get a letter or a program from them, they will probably accept it as it'll be viable, and they can trust what they say. You have to earn that trust with a long-term marketing plan. Advertising, on the other hand, and we'll spend some time on that, advertising is when we're looking at a certain product or a certain service that we're going to promote during a given time, a short period of time, to help get it started, to help get it rolling. So advertising is for targeted customers, and also for a targeted product for a certain amount of time, and we'll put a budget on it so that we're not going to spend any more than we plan to, and then monitor our return on that investment. So there is a difference in marketing and advertising. So marketing, we would say long term. Advertise, we would say targeted short term. Who is your meanest, toughest, strongest, just badass competitor? Who is the one trying to knock you off the seat? Always after you. Who is it? Well, I want to tell you, is you and your distractions. There's enough business out here for all of us. I know it. I've been doing it for years. But how I can go out there and get it is another thing, because there's just not enough time in a day for me to do stuff. I mean, I got distractions in my life, and I know y'all do too. Some of you already working 1, 2, or maybe even 3 jobs, and here you are here with me, and I'm honored with your presence. I feel privileged and honored to be able to work for you and with you, because you have made time to do this. So how do you fight distractions? You do it by setting priorities, and have to move some things around to get your business up and running. And I'm hearing reports from a lot of you that that's what you're doing to make it work, is to set those priorities so that you can achieve the things that you want to achieve. We all know that we cannot really expect something different to happen for us tomorrow or next year if we're going to do the same things we've been doing. We're going to have to do some things different, aren't we? So just keep that in mind. Fair market value is going to play into every entrepreneur's life all along, every day. So I want you to own the definition of fair market value and understand how it applies to you. Fair market value is a legal term, and it's the only legal price value in the world of law, in the world of the courts, in the world of legal stuff worldwide, because everything else that people put a value on can give or come and go and change and things like that. But if you go to the courthouse and you're trying to settle an estate value with a family, or a husband and wife trying to settle a divorce issue, or neighbors arguing about this, or insurance company trying to pay a claim, somebody's got to say what's the real value of something. And that real value will be determined by how the courts look at it, and that is, it's a price or value that's put on a property when being considered by two people who know the game, but they're under no pressure at all to either to buy it or sell it. In other words, they don't have skin in the game. They're strictly there to determine the value of a piece of property. Now, in last night's presentation, we talked right much about fair market value. But from here on forward, and one of your quiz questions at the end of this series is for you to be able to tell me and to write down the definition of fair market value. Okay, look and hook, the L and the H. That's the advertising strategy that I've developed through the years that has saved me millions of dollars, and it will do the same for you before you lose them. That's a good thing to hear, isn't it? So no extra charge for this information. I'm just going to give it to you on a plate. So here it is. What is the L and the H? It's the look and the hook. And what is the look? That's saying my ads are going to be worth looking at. Good, fresh images. Good, fresh bait. What is the hook? It's the call to action. It's a reason for that person that's reading that ad to call you up today and send you some money. So I always say this, and I want you to all to become really good hookers. Yes, indeed. But go ahead. Yep, I said it. I want you to become a really good hooker, because when it comes to the look and the hook, that's the kind of hooker I want you to be, is learning how to get the customers to move from, man, that looks good, to, all right, I'm ready to buy it. And that's the difference in you being a good advertising hooker, to get someone to say, yeah, I'm ready to come on, let's do it right now. There you go. The look and the hook. Later on tonight, I'll show you a little example of that. So your homework assignments are very important. I've sent them to you by email. We've talked about them. Know that. I'm not going to push you any harder than you want to go, but I'll share with you what we need to do here. Okay? 10 steps towards getting a business plan or a planner up and running and ready to go. So let's move into talking about planning our business, okay? 10 steps, you ready? First of all, we're going to talk about what is a business plan, why we need to have it. We need a timeline to work with it. What are models? We don't be putting our business plan together by using models, income models and expense models. We're going to have a way to connect those different models and add up the values of them to put our business plan together and to tell us what's left. I'm going to talk to you about a structured business plan in case you're planning a real major, large business, like millions of dollars type business right now. You need to know what a structured plan is. My plan is structured, but it's simple structured. It's made to help us individuals that are in business put it together by themselves without going to and such as that. So that's what that's all about. A little background noise here I'm trying to take out. So there we go. Business ownership and stocks are something we need to talk about tonight. I'll ask you, as I did last on Tuesday, to come up with a list of what you think your startup funds will be, how much money that you're going to need to get your business up and rolling. And then we'll talk about how important it is to build confidence and to believe and trust in what you're doing. So why do you want a business plan, number one? I'm looking over the board here. Several of you have already attended a webinar that's included in that. Several of you have not. So let's just talk about, you want a business plan to help you avoid unexpected pitfalls and expenses. And if you had never done a business plan or been in business before, you don't have a clue what's coming at you. But people who have been there before, like me and some of you guys that are on here, and the folks at the Small Business Center, we got a real good idea about whatever business you're headed into. We can help you know in advance a lot of the things that you need to worry about, you need to be concerned about, and cover in your business plan. The business plan is to tell you what's left. And what's left is when we're going to be estimating and guessing at your income, estimating and guessing at what your expenses will be, and we will subtract those expenses from the income and come up with a figure, and that will be what's left. Now, that what's left needs to be just not whatever it is. It needs to be really close to what your goals are, what you need to make the business work for you financially. And that what's left, that bottom line, if it's not where it needs to be to suit your goals, then we need to go back and revisit that business plan and see what we can do to improve it, to see what we can do to make more money. That's right. So the business plan I want to help you put together is one not just to see what may be left, but it's to be adjustable to the point so that what's left suits your needs and suits your goals. If it's profitable and good cash flow, it's going to be black ink. We'll refer to it as a black ink, and that's a good thing. If it's short, we're spending more money than we're making, that's red ink, and that's not a good thing. It will have to be adjusted as well. But whatever it is, we're not going to throw it away if it don't suit our needs. We're going to NDCP, we're going to change the plan to help us achieve our goals. Now, a little footnote here is, if you're doing a side hustle, that is, you're starting a little business to help bring in some additional or supplemental income, you're not really ever planning on right now it becoming your bread and butter sole income. And that's a good thing to do. But if it's a side hustle type business, you need to kind of let me know, because it will have a little bit, well, it'll have a whole lot of different slant than if you're putting together a full-time large business to be standalone and run on its own. To create enough income for you, that would be your full-time work. So the side hustles bring a little extra incentive, a little bit of extra opportunity to make more money. And your business plan then would be basically what you're doing now, plus the side hustle would be just like an additional profit center that you're adding to what you're doing now. So just keep that in mind. So having a side hustle type business is an advantage and easier to manage and to get started than just a standalone business, because you've already got some income or stability in your financial life, and you're not depending on this new business to do it all. So just keep that in mind as we work through this. So less stress, lower startup cost. You've already got established customer contacts, and it will be a lower cost of doing business. So a side hustle business is easier to write a business plan for than a brand new startup business by itself. But it's all about the time. We have to get the time right. You have to think about, if you're starting a side hustle and you really put your heart and soul into it, is that going to take away from something you're doing now? So it could be a two-edged sword, and we would need to give that consideration, especially if your primary income is going to be reduced while you're building your side hustle business. Now, we're going to work basically right now for a few minutes with the mindset of having two different documents. One is going to be a planner sheet, a timeline. What are we going to be doing for the next few months while we're getting our business started? And that indeed may be the scope of the matter for you to do. That may be all that you can do now. Because sometimes you have to be in business a while, and some businesses to actually write a full-fledged business plan. But after we talk about the timeline, then we're going to start talking about models. We're going to talk about expense models, and we're going to talk about income models. So when I speak about income model and also talk about marketable profit centers, they are the same thing. And for each one of your marketable profit centers, you'll have an income model that you'll plug into your business plan. There you go. So we'll be able to guess and estimate how much profit each one of our models will be bringing in and feeding the business plan in a given period of time. I usually like to talk in terms of 6 months when we're first getting started, okay? The timeline page we're going to talk about will be for 6 months. And I suggest that your first business plan models, determining cash flow, just look at 6 months to begin with. That's generally a good way to approach this. So here's a pre-planner. You would basically do it on your own. You can take the handouts that I'm sending to you. Listen carefully here. The handouts that I email to you are on a Word, Microsoft Word file. So you can download it on your computer and erase and add or change up any way you want to, but you can take what I'm sending to you and save yourself a lot of work and a lot of typing, because I've put in the ingredients for a lot of the things that will help you get started. So take this example sheet and use it as your own and start building your own business planner. This is a kind of a must-do for your business to make sure you get your business, all your pages covered. And so let's get into it a little bit. Now, I've set this one up, the one we're looking at here, is as if it's a 6-month planner. And it's hard to get a brand new business up and running in less than 6 months. But all these things will probably have to be covered in your business, maybe not, and the ones that don't, just erase them. So let's kind of look at it in a minute. So during the first month, and we're going to call it starting September 15th, a couple of months ago, determine the products and services, create a list of your profit centers, and then try to take that list and put some money values on them. How much is this going to sell for? How much does this service cost per appointment or time that you deliver? Or how much are these products going to cost? And about how much money do you think you're going to make on it? And I'll show you how to do that later, or even tonight. But it's going to be up to you to, first of all, come up with your menu, and second of all, to start applying some prices on it. And that's something there's no reason to wait on. You go ahead and start doing that right now. It'll be a good challenge to you, but it needs to be done. You can't actually put together the business plan until you do that, all right? And during the next month, you might want to come up with thinking about who is your best targeted customer groups. You know, where is the low-hanging fruit, the customers that you can get to quickly and easily and not have to spend a lot of money. Make a list of at least 6 customer targeted groups that you think that you'll be able to connect with and start making sales with. That needs to be written down. Now go back and look at your profit centers and see if there's any particular groups that would go with certain profit centers. And it's good if they do, because the more profit centers you have, the better you are, because that means that'll be the more customer groups that you will have, because you want to do business with different folks to be diversified. So you'll have money coming in for this and for that and all through the year at different times. So important, but you have to think about getting these targeted groups. Let's think about if you know you don't have to have a bricks and mortar location, think about where that needs to be, and survey the markets. Look at the different places that you might want it to be. Also think about, in general, if it's not bricks and mortar, where do you want your territory to be? The worldwide, nationwide, county-wide, neighborhood-wide. Give it some serious thought and write it down and kind of take a map out and draw a circle around the area you think you'll be best serving. Why is that? If we know the area that you want to work in, then you'll be able to target your advertising directly right down to the street almost. So what does that do for you? It keeps you from wasting money trying to be all things to all people. Let's try to be everything to those people in that particular territory that you're working in. And so it's time now we give some serious consideration to what our startup costs will be and how much budget that we have, how much we're going to have to borrow, how much we're going to have to fundraise to make. All right? And if we don't have it, it's got to come from somewhere before we can get started or figure out a way to get started one little step at a time to work with what we got. Eventually, you don't have some good money coming in and you don't need a banking source. You don't want to have a business checking account. So there'll be a banking to do there. You need to think about who you want to work with. I suggest that you try to work with the small hometown community banks if you can. And it is perfectly okay and maybe a great idea for you to get a bank other than who you're banking with now, especially if you're banking with a credit union now. If you're banking with a credit unions are not supposed to make any type of business loans. No types of business loans, and therefore I would say to you, you don't need to have your business account with a credit union. You need to find someone else to have it with, okay? After next week, you'll know a whole lot about marketing that you don't know tonight, so it's time to get that marketing plan together and put a budget on it. And some of you just rolls your eyes and say, well, how will I know what my budget is? Well, here we go. I recommend that you use the term 6.5%. And that is to say that if you want to have revenues of $100 from your sales, total sales, $100, that right now, let's just go ahead and say, I don't need to spend 6.5% or $6.50 per $100 that I hope to make. That's right. That'd be a good place to start. Some businesses have to raise it up, some can lower it down, but that's a good place to start. 6.5% as we're first getting started. Do you know how to negotiate and forecast? Do you know how to make a sale? Do you know how to talk to a customer? Do you know all about the different negotiating ploys that we talked about last night? That was a fun conversation last night, wasn't it? On different ways to talk to folks about making money and what they're allowed to say to you or to do to you to try to get you to give them a better price. Well, you need to know it, and I'm happy to teach it to you. And I can send you good information on this, but that's something that has to be in your plan that you don't know so that you'll be ready to meet the competition. And then now in the 4th month, we're up to December. Let's start marketing a little bit, get our presentation out, let people know that you're on the way. You'll start using your Facebook, social media, other types of advertising, direct mail to let people know, hey man, we're gonna be open in a few weeks. Wait, let me know what you want. I'll order it for you. We can do some business. We're gonna be doing it here and there. In other words, get your name out there in the world. Get in the game. Get all out of the stands, get out of the dugout, and get in the game and start letting people know that you'll be here real soon. Then in the next month, we'll start adding stock or inventory. We'll think about how we're enhancing our merchandising skills and putting pictures out there now of our products and videos and a lot of that stuff going on so that the public knows who we are and that we are almost ready to start doing business. And then very quietly, let's start doing some business. Don't have a lot of fanfare on this, but let's see if our advertising is working. Let's see if we have trained ourselves to close a deal or to answer the questions of our customers. In other words, I like to call this a soft opening, kind of getting limbered up, warmed up, and to make this thing happen. And then finally, in our 6th month, let's do it. Let's have that grand opening. Let's really rock them and get it done right. And as soon as we start making sales, we immediately start taking down the names and addresses and email addresses of everyone that's given us a chance to do business with us and creating our database so that we can use that database to maintain raving fan customers. Now, this is easy to talk about, and I just talked about 6 months of work of things that y'all are probably not doing now, which means you need to look at it very seriously and see if you can make priorities to make this fit into your plan. Put some dates here that can be real for you, that you will target achieving these different things. And, you know, I'm saying 6 months, but I'm also saying real emphatically, it needs to be done at your pace. It needs to be done at a pace that you're comfortable with and feel secure in. The last thing I want to do as your business coach and more importantly friend is to put you in a place you don't want to be. But if you want to get started and finally get it on and you've been procrastinating for a long time, this is a good first step. So I hope it really helps you. I really do. Make it work for you. So now we're going to talk about our business plan itself. The part of the business plan we're going to talk about most is the money. The money coming in and money going out. So I might ought to change this little part of the presentation to budgeting as much as we talk about to business planning. They're kind of the same thing. So I've got a handout and a presentation that I do on budgeting, and I don't send you that information if you'd like. Matter of fact, if you're signed on tonight and I've got your email address, tomorrow I'm going to send you an extra package of information about budgeting, which approaches this exact same topic, except from a different light, but it might reinforce your understanding of it. So for each one of our models, and we're going to talk about income models primarily, we're going to have a piece of paper or a computer file where we figure out how much money we hope to make with each one of our profit centers. And we'll just start out with blanks. So you can just print you out some blanks that look like this to get started. This is the top half of the page, and we'll look at the bottom half in a minute. But for each thing that we're selling, we'll write the name of it at the top. We'll decide what we're going to sell it for, and then about how many unit sales we'll probably make in the first 6 months, or week or month, what timeline you want to do. I suggest you use 6 months. And then that will give you a revenue estimate. That is, what is the gross amount of money, what is the gross amount of revenue that this particular profit center will probably bring into you during the first 6 months. And then right under that, we're going to say, well, each one of them costs me a certain amount of money. I'm going to multiply it times the number that I plan to sell, and you'll automatically see about how much money you're going to need to spend to make that money. You're also going to know about how much money you're going to need to start up putting some initial inventory in stock, depending on, do you want 1 week's worth of inventory or 6 months worth of inventory? And then you can determine, well, I don't need to spend this amount of money even to get started. Then the bottom of your page is going to say, well, here's my estimated revenues, my estimated expenses, and here's what's left. We're going to subtract the expenses from the revenue. Now, what are we going to call this what's left? And that's important. Pay attention now. We're not going to call it profit. No. It's easy to call it profit because it looks like that's what's left, so that'll be profit. But it's not profit for your business yet. We're going to call this number margin. A profit center develops a certain amount of margin that it contributes to the basic income of the business plan. We won't know how much profit we made till we get down to the bottom line and consider all the models, all the income models and all the expense models. So let's use an example and suppose that you're getting into the used car business. It's a real easy one to show you how these models work. So if you're going to get into the used car business, I can tell you that you'll go to a place that kind of looks like this, which is called an auction. There's a lot of auctions around. Kenly, North Carolina has one of the largest in the world, and there are a lot more around, but we are all located to some large car auctions. And these people down front in the lower right-hand corner, they're the auctioneers. The folks on the other side of the cars over here, they're the buyers. They are the used car dealers. And these cars that are coming by in front of them are coming out of a large warehouse or parking lot, one at a time. Now, these dealers got there a few hours early, and they went out and looked at the particular cars they're interested in and have already determined what they're going to bid on them as they come through. And as they come through, they'll start bidding. The one that bids the highest wins the car, and they drive it back to their car lot. That's the way that works. That's the wholesale dealer there. When they carry it back to the car lot, they'll park it on their lot. They'll put a bunch of stickers and signs on it and clean them up or do what they're going to do to them to try to do their very best to sell them to you or one of your friends. It's a very good business. used car dealers, salesmen get a lot of flack from the world about selling red herrings and being crooked, but in general, most used car dealers that have been around a long time really help a lot of people with their transportation needs. A lot of them even finance it for them, so it's a good thing. So let me share with you, in the used car world in North Carolina, probably all over the country, but I know around here, the most popular used car that you'll see on the used car lots is the car that sells for $6,000 or approximately that. That's really good for your first car, or for your teenager getting their license, or if you've had a wreck and you need some help right now fairly inexpensively. It's a car that beats walking. So generally that $6,000 car is the hottest item on a used car lot, and it's an item that's usually easy to finance for the dealer if they want to do that. And if you're a decent dealer in a good populated area, and times being decent, then I can tell you that you'll probably be able to sell about 15 cars a month if you work hard at it. And if you sell 15 cars a month, that'll be 90 cars during a 6-month period. And 90 cars at $6,000 a piece is over $500,000, 540 grand. So this is a good example that I can show you with a fairly good sized ticket item. It can add up into a business that generates a lot of money. So it'll sell 90 cars at $6,000 a piece. It'll generate 540 grand. Those cars I'm not going to pay. And I know when I get to that auction, and you would too, you're not going to pay but $4,000 for a car that you're planning on selling for $6,000. So 100 cars may go by, but you only pick 1 or 2 that you think you can buy for $4 and sell for $6. And if you sell 90 cars in that 6-month period, you will have spent $360,000 to do it. And that's a lot of money. So if you're thinking about getting into this type of business, where's that initial money going to come from to get you started? Now, let's take it to the next step. We took in 540, we spent 360, that leaves us $180,000. Now, what is that called? Right, it's not profit yet. That's called margin. Our business model for used cars that's selling at $6,000 a piece, that business model will generate for our business $180,000 margin. Black ink. That's a business model for $6,000 used cars. Now, a used car dealer may also have a group of vehicles that he sells for $15,000 for that next level up, or maybe even now that his cars are getting so high, later model cars for $30,000 or $40,000 even in used cars. And he will determine how much he's going to spend and purchase for that unit that he's going to sell at a certain amount. And in every one of these, fair market value is in the middle. So that car that he's not planning on selling for $6,000, but he's only going to pay $4,000 for it, then the fair market value on that car is probably around $5,000. That's where it comes to play. And he will always buy below fair market value. Okay, that's our first model. Now, let's say that you're not selling products, but you're selling time. You're providing a service. You're a lawyer, you're an accountant, you're a dentist, you're a counselor, you're mowing grass or pressure washing or making quilts. All that is more about time than it is the product. So you're selling time for money. So how do we approach that doing a business model? Well, let's say you've got a certain thing that you're going to be offering that you can do 4 appointments a day in that timeline of work, so that you know that as you're selling this in the next 6 months, it's going to be important for you. But here's a wrinkle that I'm going to put in here. If you're selling time for money, I want you to plan on a 4-day work week for your business plan. 4 days. And I want you to work 4 weeks a month. So that means that you will have basically a 16-day month. And that's the kind of in 16 days, you want to plan to generate the money that you need to make your business plan work. That's going to leave you 3 more days. And we'll say it's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But in different businesses, you may switch those around. But you need a day that you can catch up in case things go wrong. You need a catch-up day. That'd be that'd be your day 5. And then you need a day to have a life, to go to the doctor, to look after your children, to do this and do that. That's day 6. And then you need a day just to charge your batteries, go to church, do special things with your family, or whatever's important to you. And if you plan to do that, there's a chance it'll work out that it can happen for you. If you don't make a plan like that, it won't work out, and you'll not be able to find time to do those things. But if you're making money those 4 days and you're putting your time doing that, then you can do it. So let's think about that. 6 months, 4 days a week, all right? 4 weeks a month, a 16-day month. Each day, I'm going to plan in this particular business to have 4 appointments per day. And then over the 6-month period, I'm going to figure out how much revenue I can bring in. I'm going to determine what my basic cost is, cost of doing business or cost of life that's related to this business. And then I'm going to multiply it times 96 days and come up with what my cost is, my expenses. So let's think about a business we can do that with. And at the end of the 6 months, we'll know what's left, and we'll call that margin. Let's say that you're going to be a graphic designer of some type, or you're into some type of marketing services, where you can indeed do 4 appointments a day, and this work will allow you to charge $150 per appointment. Just pulling these numbers out of the air, but pretty realistic when I talk to some people. So each day I'm going to plan that I'm working those 4 days. I'm going to plan on bringing in $600 per day. That's my plan. And I know that, so that's what I'm going to go for. So if I'm bringing in $600 a day, in 6 months I'll bring in $57,600. And you can see that if I can maintain this all year long, that'll put me up to about $115,000 revenue. My expenses are around $200 a day. So during that 6 months, I'll spend $19,200 doing this particular part of my business. What's left in a 6-month period? $38,000. What is that? Is that profit? No, that's margin. So in this particular business model, for my business plan, for my appointments that I don't do 4 per day, 4 per week, or 4 days a week, in a 6-month period, it'll bring in $38,400 revenue that will be contributed to the business plan. Now, vision with me that each one of these blocks is one of your business models. And we'll have over on the left those that are bringing in money, and those over on the right are ones that are expense models. I might have done a model for expenses, estimated my utilities might have been $38,000. Estimated my insurance costs might have been $25,000. Estimated all the different things. Every item in that business plan is going to have a little model there with a value on it. That is so important, because when we get ready to make a change, we don't have to change the whole plan. We can pull out one block and see how it affects everything, or add in a block and see how it does it. And it's really easy to adjust your business plan using models than any other way you can do it. So there's a lot of study guides that I can offer to you and have already sent to you. And as you start working on your business, and every business will be a little different, and you run into some stumbling blocks related to this, just drop me an email and tell me about it. Or talk to your director at the SBC. How do you approach this particular issue? If you hadn't ever been there before, there's no reason you should know how to do it. So let's just accept that and figure it out and get some help to make it happen. I'm going to skip over some things that just don't apply to us tonight. This is how to do a transportation business that I had some particular things to show one of our attendees. So I want you to understand this, that your marketable profit centers that I'm asking you to do homework with, number one, each one of those profit centers will become a block in your business model. But it's going to be up to you to determine what it is you're going to be selling, and in this particular type of product, what your profit potential is. When you know that, we can multiply it times the volume that you're going to have and come up with a good estimate for your business plan. We'll plug them in together, and when they're all connected and we add them up, we'll know where we're headed. So what is this business model stuff? I've shown you how I would use it using the term model, but it can be as complicated or as simple as you want to make it. You could have a business model that's as simple as saying, I don't go down to Dublin, North Carolina, in Bladen County and buy a wholesale box of salted peanuts and pay $10 for the whole box and get a bunch of bags in there, little bags that I can go and sell one at a time and end up making a profit of $10 per box that I sell. I said profit, I shouldn't have, but a margin of $10. So you can have it as simple as you want to make it. And if you're doing a side hustle, that's all I'd ask you to do. Make it as simple as you can. A side hustle, let's say that you're planning on having a wheel washing business. On Saturdays, you're going to go to the shopping center that's close to you. You don't carry your cleaning materials, and when people drive in, they got real pretty cars or great big pretty trucks. You don't have a sign out on your car that says washed wheels, wash and polish wheels for $50. People, while they're in Walmart, you don't go there and take care of their tires, make you $50, and look forward to the next person. People are doing that now and making lots of money on not only Saturdays now, but all through the week. It's becoming a very popular side hustle. But that would be just as easy to write as you can do. For every one of these I don't spend an approximately X number of time on it. So you would do one for automobiles. Then you would do one for pickups that have larger wheels on them. Then you would have a model for transfer trucks for 18-wheelers. That's going to probably be about a $250 job. Might take you 3 hours to get it done, but whatever you charge, you would have a different model for each one of those. So that's where side hustles come in and make things a whole lot easier. It's real easy to figure out what your margin will probably be with a side hustle type job. So now let's look at what this is all going to come back to look like. This is a blank, not completed, but a blank page that's basically going to show you what your business plan would look like. And that's pretty simple, huh? Now, we've already talked during the last Tuesday and tonight about the different types of profit centers. And I'm challenging you to have some profit centers that are indeed like number one, number two, or number three. Profit centers that you're doing to bring in new customers. Profit centers that you have to have new traffic each day. Profit centers that are designed for repeat business. Profit centers that are designed for big ticket sales. And each one of these lines would have one of those models that goes with it. And some of these you'll have several lines representing the same type of business. And each one of them, you've got a blank line out there, and we just transfer the what's left, that margin figure, right over here on this figure on the right-hand side, with these right here where the cursor's moving up and down. They'll come right off the bottom of your models. Then if you've borrowed some money or you've invested some money, put it into the business, we'll have that to go right here as well. All right, you'll put that number in. In other words, any money that's coming into the business as you're getting started, we'll put it right there. And this is where I'll give you a little footnote. If you're investing money in your business right now, you're actually making a loan. And as your business gets up and running and can start paying you back, the business pays you back that money, and you don't have to pay tax on that money coming back. As the business pays you back, it takes a write-off on it, so it's good for it. It don't have to pay tax on that money either. Now, the rest of the story is the money that you loan your business, that's why you need to keep up with it and document it. The business should pay you interest on that money, The business should pay you interest on the money you loan it to get started. Absolutely. Now that interest money will be taxable to you, but it's a write-off for the company, so it's kind of a wash. But at least you can get not only your money back, but make interest on it while the company's using it. So that's the income side of your business plan. The expense side, the red ink side, each one of these lines down here on the bottom, they would be based on models as well. Your startup cost, your marketing plan, which we're going to talk about next week, different overhead costs, and overhead we'll refer to sometimes as CODB, cost of doing business, but we don't need to put a model in on that and then assign a percentage to it probably. What are your staffing costs? How much you're going to pay yourself? How much you're going to pay other employees or other people or contractors working with you? And then every business, I have a lot of different types of things that other businesses don't. We're all different. So there'll be some lines here that are different because it's your business and not mine. And if we borrowed some money and we got debt payments, need to put that down there right as well, because we don't pay our debts. So we'll take all these red ink items and subtract them from all of our black ink items, and guess what we got? What's left? Keep saying that, don't I? I want you to remember that. And now what's left, if it's black ink, great, that's a good thing. If it's red ink, though, we need to go back and keep working. We don't need to throw the plan away because we've got some red ink. And it will be very easy to see where you have to make changes by what you need to do with these different kinds of models. That's the key. It will be easier to adjust your business plan to become profitable by working with these models on these different things that you're doing, because you will see how when you pull one out, how it affects the overall plan, or if you change it or move it up. Generally, if it's red ink, we're going to need to add some profit centers, or we're going to need to reduce some expenses, or we just need to revisit the whole sucker and see how we can put it back together that it will be profitable. But it's very easy to do it by using this type of strategy. So in your handouts, you've got a graphic here that one of our associates had done for us and gave it to me, basically showing you the different things you will consider for your expense items, the different things that you will consider for your revenue items. Each one of these will become different models to help you determine what's left. So the question is here now, what do you hope to achieve from your business plan more than just avoiding unexpected expenses? You hope to achieve to know what's left. All right? All different things to consider. So we're at a point now that I want to encourage you to name your business. Put a name on it. You don't have to keep it forever. Maybe you say, well, Steve, I don't know hadn't started my business yet. I don't know what it's going to be. Let me encourage you just to dream. Just to say, it's okay. I don't know what it's really going to be, but for right now, I'm going to call it this. This is Caitlin's Fine Products, or Latoya's this, or Rana's that, or whatever other name. Come up with some name that is real, that you actually write it down. Just that simple fact of you writing it down is a means that you're getting started. And that's a baby step, and we all know that it may be changed 50 times before you actually turn it into an LLC or a website. But name your business. Put your name on something. Think about this targeted marketing plan that we're going to get into strong next week. Think about the things that we're seeing tonight and what you think you need to sell and who will you be selling to. Then give some thought to whether or not you think you can do your own website. Maybe you got some training there, or you don't need some help with it. And we've got a lot of people that's even on board tonight that have worked on websites that will be glad to give you free advice and help you get started. And we've got a lot of associates that have actually come from this program and got in the business and are helping other folks all day long. And then we've got friends of the Academy that have been in business for years and years and years that will take it from square one and go forward. How much money are you going to spend? As cheap as, not cheap, excuse me for using that word, I don't like it, as little as a couple of $100 or as much as $5,000 or $6,000. Just depends on how far you want to go with it. I can tell you this, if you get it for nothing, it's probably worth nothing. Very fine to find something that's got value that you didn't have to invest in, even if that investment is just your own time. But what I want to discourage is you say, well, I'm going to learn how to do it and not have to spend that money. And 5 or 6 years from now, or 15 years from now, and I ask you, how's it coming along? You're going to say, well, I'm learning and I'm getting there, but I'm not quite ready to go forward. And my logic is, if you're doing this to make money, don't wait. Let's figure out a way to get out there and start doing it. And I'm going to tell you a lot of ways to get out there and start doing it next week. It's not going to cost you a lot of money, but what it is going to make you have to do is want to get in the game now. You got to want it. I can't want it enough for you to do it. You have to want it. So there we go. That's kind of what we have to say. So business plan now. If you go to college, a university anywhere in the world, they're going to tell you that to write a business plan, you have to have 7 essential components to make up a business plan. And I don't tell you that's absolutely true. If you want a sophisticated plan where you don't have stockholders and make millions of dollars worth of stuff, or have a plan to go to the bank to borrow $50,000, $60,000, they want a sophisticated plan to meet a standard. The plan I just described to you earlier is to make one standard, and that is yours. You were making that business plan for you. And it can be jazzed up after that, but that's all you really need to get where you're going. But let's talk about that sophisticated plan real quick. And I don't buzz through this like corn through a goose, so hang on tight. You ready? Business plan starts out with an executive summary, every one of them. The executive summary is the first thing that's in the plan, but it's the last thing that's written. In Steve-O talk, an executive summary is a preview of what's to come. I like to call it an appetizer. You'll put in there what you want the reader to learn and want to go forward reading the rest of your plan. As simple as putting your name, the business name, your domain name, kind of sharing with what you think your first 6 month or 1 year income goal would be. And then this isn't going to be on the plan, but I got to ask you, how many hours a week, or how many hours a month, how many hours or whatever, do you plan to be in the business selling to customers? Not just hanging around or painting the wall or chit-chatting with other folks, but actually working with customers. How many hours are you going to be in there working? And that's important for you. Because when we know that, how many hours you're going to be there, and you already said what you hope that income goal is going to be, guess what? We're going to divide the number of hours into that income goal, and voila, you get to see how much revenue you got to generate per hour to make your business work. It takes the smoke away from the mirror. When you know how much money you have to make per hour for this business plan to work, it becomes real. Yeah. And I don't want it to scare you, but I want you to go into it with a realistic eye-opener. And now the caveat is, probably you're going to say, there's no way I can put in enough hours to make this thing work like this, Steve. And I'm going to agree with you. That's what I'm going to say. Well, we need to find ways that you can delegate the responsibility to bring the money in. And that it could mean hire employees. Sometimes it definitely means that. But for those of us that don't want to hire a bunch of employees, it also could mean, well, we need to delegate responsibility to generate X amount of money to this type of marketing system, or to this associate, or this partner, or this other way that we can determine that we can elicit help to help us generate that money, and how much of that we need to do. So that's just out there. We something to think and talk about, but it will all start when you determine if you can be there and actually make the money yourself that the company needs to make. You'll need to write a company description in a sophisticated business plan that goes into great depth about the company. But in your plan, on one paragraph or two, just tell me what you're going to be doing. Just tell me what you're going to be doing. Just that simple. What, in just a few sentences, what you plan to do to make money. Number three, go into detail with a sophisticated system about every aspect of the products and the services. Basically, I'm just going to want you in your plan to use what we've talked about a little bit earlier. Talk about what the different products and profit centers will be. Keeping it simple, we're using estimates, and we already said that, to come up with what's left. And if it's red ink, we're going to add profit centers or reduce cost, or just recalculate everything. Not going to get excited, not going to throw it all away or give up. I'm telling you, this is what will have to happen. Here's kind of an example that someone might come to you and say, well, I think I don't get in the trucking business because I got a friend who told me that if I get a truck in the trailer, he will guarantee me $305,000 a year in revenue if I'll get the truck in the trailer and make it happen for him. He don't want to get in the trucking business, but he'll give his business to me. He even guarantees me and put some money up to back it up that he'll give me X amount of money per different months because he's got a contract already guaranteed to generate a certain amount of revenue. So I think I'm going to go buy that truck and trailer so that I can make $305,000. Not, you've got the opportunity. But you take these types of opportunities, whatever they are, and then you figure out what your costs are going to be by doing exactly what we've been talking about earlier. Look at it as a profit centers and a revenue generator or business model for revenues, and then come up with what the expense models are going to be and to determine what's left. And in most businesses, of course, there are some exceptions, there's already enough information out here in the world or someone you or me know or on the internet to get a good idea on what your costs are going to be. Now, there's always going to be variables like the cost of fuel or insurance or inflation factors, but generally, just don't take what looks like the good opportunity to make $305,000 and think it's automatically profitable, because it may not be, but you need to owe it to yourself to know how to analyze it to determine if it is a good opportunity. Just simply like what we're talking about here, when you get into it, what does it cost to put a truck on the road today? What does it cost? Well, I can tell you that if you're going to go buy a truck and a trailer and expect to put it on the road within 30 days, there's a good chance you're going to have to come up with about $13,000 out of pocket. First time, one-time cost, just out of pocket. The biggest item on that list there that you're looking at is insurance. But if you don't have a good record or a bad record, there's a good chance you'll have to pay all that up front, or at least have it in reserves. So whatever business you're going to look at, even if it's a side hustle, you need to determine what these startup costs are so you can analyze it. Now, the rest of the story here, this $13,000 does not include any money for the truck or the trailer. This is just extra expenses. I did include them in here so I could have a chance to show you how much surprise you may be in for. And generally, your truck and the trailer would have monthly payments tied onto it, so you would be looking at down payment and then what your monthly payments are. But getting into business, your startup costs can just really surprise you. So if you've got a business plan or you've talked with someone that's been there before that helped you develop it, then maybe you won't have those surprises. So right back to where we were earlier. Remember, we don't have a model and a figure that's generated from us from what we figured out. Plug right in the lines to help us determine what's left. You've got this sheet in your plan. You can take your Word file, put it in your computer and change these and start adding in the different profit centers and start building your plan right there at home, right on your laptop or desktop. Market analysis in a sophisticated plan. That goes into great depth about stocks and bonds and the stock market and interest rates and things like that. But on your plan, just simply nail it down what region you plan to serve, who you think your best customer target groups are, who your competitors are. We need to know about our competitors, like we talked about last night. Figure out what they're up to, how you can beat them. Strategies and implementations, we go into great depth, or simply just talk about what is your primary marketing tools. And next week, I'm going to talk to you about all the marketing tools so you'll know which ones you need to use, how you plan to use them. Talk about how much staff you think you need. Don't put any names here down. Refer to individuals by job titles. Don't give anybody's names away in your business plan. Talk about the operating hours that you plan to work. They would be very important and have a lot to do with the possible amount of money that you can generate. If you know you don't need a bricks and mortar location, then tell them the information about that. Do not give the location away. Just talk about generally what size the building is, about generally what your lease will probably be. That will be reflected in your business plan. But don't tell somebody about the property that you're planning on getting, because people will steal that information from you and maybe use it against you to go rent the property out from under you, then try to release it to you. So be confidential in that. If you are going to a bricks and mortar location and you know you don't have to renovate it, then that's another whole world of new expenses to talk about. And if you're not careful, those expenses will keep you from ever getting started, or make you if you're renting from a landlord, really improve his property while you're hurting your chance to stay in business because you're using up your money. So there's a lot of renovating to do at a property. Look at it long and hard. Talk to someone that's been there and done that. I've got a handout to share with you with do's and don'ts before signing a lease. I'll be glad to share that with you. I'll take a footnote here. A lot of my friends and associates that have come through the academy here get their businesses up and running and then find out in 2 or 3 years they have to go out of business and look back, and it boils down to they were working their hearts out to pay too high rent to a landlord. So the bottom line is they worked real hard and the landlord really benefited, but you did not benefit. So just know that is a real chance there. That's a lion that will eat you. So it's hard to find a location that's affordable, but it is worth the wait, or is worth the effort to figure out how to put it in a food truck, or you go mobile, or look at pop-up events, or some type of special arrangement before you hang yourself with a 3-year lease that will never allow you to make a penny. Never allow you to make a penny. Be real careful with renting property, okay? With a brand new business. Who's going to own this business? So you don't have investors, or you don't own it yourself. You want to have that in your business plan. Again, don't give away any names, but you indeed might want to talk about, I've got this gentleman with X amount of experience, he'll be investing a certain percentage of ownership in the business. If you're borrowing money, you don't have to dig deep for 5 years worth of financial records, tax returns, all those things. Just know it's going to be a headache and a hassle to put it all together. But I'll tell you this, a lot of young entrepreneurs, for whatever reason, have not filed their taxes for a number of years. And you might as well just start doing it now, even if you don't owe anything, because someone said, well, you don't have to file taxes because you didn't make X amount of money. But if you're going to be ending up going to a lender or the SBA to get a loan, they're going to see those tax returns. So even if you're filing late, just plan to go ahead and do that if you're going to be asking for loans. And if if you didn't have to file and you didn't owe any tax money, it's just going to cost you a little bit of time and be fairly easy to do. Someone that does home tax preparations for individuals, someone you trust and talk to, they can do this very quickly and very inexpensively for you, and you will not regret having your tax issues in order, because you're going to be asked to produce them. And it's really embarrassing if you say, well, I didn't file taxes that year, or I didn't file taxes this year for whatever reason. Somebody told me I didn't need to. That don't hold water with a lender. That doesn't hold water with an adjuster. They need to see the paperwork, and you need to have it as a part of your file, as part of doing business. So that's basically the business plan type talk. Does anybody have any particular questions related to the business plan type talk? I'm supposed to wrap up at 8 o'clock, and it is 8 o'clock, and I would say to you, thank you so much for being here. And I'm looking forward to seeing you next Tuesday and Wednesday, hopefully, and we'll pick up this and go with it, and I want y'all to be doing your homework. But I got something special for you if you can stay a few more minutes. I think you'll really enjoy it and open your eyes up to whatever. You and I have something very much in common, because there is a good chance that during the past 30 days, you've done very little business or took in very little amount of money in your business. Is that pretty much the way it is? Well, I got a feeling that's pretty much the way it is. Well, let me tell you, I am in the exact same boat. Every year, this time of year, the month of October and November, my business almost stops. And it is scary. By golly, it's scary to work hard and not see any revenue coming in while there's a lot of revenue going out in my business plan. So every year about this time, I don't start panicking, but I do know that the people aren't buying, not because I haven't been marketing, they're not buying because it's just a bad season. You cannot grow watermelons or corn or anything else on infertile ground. And there's sometimes that you can work your head off and not make a sale, not because you're not good at what you're doing, it's just it's not the right season. There are seasons when people are getting ready for Thanksgiving or saving their money for Christmas, and they're not buying maybe what I'm selling and you're selling. But these are the times that you really have to say to yourself, I'm not afraid and I'm not panicking, but I know I've got to get my mess in gear, because when the season does come, at the very end of the year and through the spring, then I need to be on top of it. And you have to do that by getting in front of your people. Now, your season, depending on what you're selling, may be a holiday type sales thing. You may be selling the gifts and things like that. And you would have been having to do this work several months ago. But today I determined that for my benefit and to share with you guys, I'm going to show y'all how a real doing it today type thing, how to put together a marketing plan for something that you want to push and have a focus on it. So if you'd like to stay a few more minutes, I'm going to show you exactly what someone that's been in business for 60 years does when they're putting together a targeted marketing campaign. Now, two of my hot items that people will start buying in December and January and February are these hay balers and drum mowers. They usually buy them together. I usually price them separate, but I also usually put them together with a bundle type sale. So I'm going to show you how to create an ad campaign and work with you through it. I'm going to send you copies as we progress through this campaign, even as we go online and out into the world, and we'll see how it works out. So this ad campaign starts with the idea and goes through the implementation, and then it also goes to accountability. And if you leave any one of these parts out, then you're not following the rules that I want you to follow, because accountability is the way you determine if you've made a good investment or not. And most advertising money is wasted. But if you can account for it and know whether it made you money or not, then you'll know if you want to do it again. I've done these type ads before, not to this extent, because I'm trying to show off a little bit for you guys and to see how well it does work. But let's talk about it from idea, implementation, and accountability. The first thing you want to do is to do your homework. Do your homework and put all your pricing together, build up to that advertised price that we talked about last night, and get it all in writing so you know where you are. Next, you want to make sure that when you're writing your text and your what you're doing in your ads, that you include the hook. Remember the hook? That was the call to action. You want to remember that your ads look good enough to have attractive images and videos. And I don't be doing all this, but that's the look. But you plan for it. You actually write it down just as we've got it done right here. Next, you determine who your targeted customer groups will be, because you don't want to waste any money spending it on infertile ground or infertile target groups. You want to know in advance. Then we're going to decide the method we're going to use and the media we're going to use to get to those particular groups. This is all before we ever spend a penny. This is having the idea, but we write it down and follow these directions. Then let's have a timeline. We want to start it at a certain date and end it at a certain date and decide how much money we're going to spend on it between those two dates. We'll know all this going in. In other words, we're just not throwing seed out on the ground and letting the wind blow it around. We got a plan. And then after we have all that, we're going to start it. And after we start it, this is where a lot of people never get to it, is plan to monitor your campaign and gauge the success of it so you'll know if you make good decisions or not. Entrepreneurs sometimes are really good about making decisions, but we don't want to hold ourselves accountable to whether we made good decisions or not. So let me show you just a little bit, just a few seconds on how that worked. So first of all, I've got all my numbers together, added them all up. I worked for pretty much 2 weeks on building bundle prices of different things that people might want to buy, and then decided the bundle that I wanted to start with. And I decided to start with the least expensive one that starts at $88.99. I said, I'll start with the low one, and then people can add products if they want to, and that'll bring in more conversation and relationship building. But this was the paper that I actually started with. It took a lot of numbers to plan that advertised price. Then it was time to start building the images, and I looked at all the photographs and different things that we might want to use. Went to PowerPoint and put together some special things, and took these and slid them over into different pages and started building an ad with the different images that you need to put together. So that would be a lot of what you can do. After that, I got my ad together. It's kind of like this. Matter of fact, about 5 o'clock this afternoon, I finished this. And this was my ad I put together with everything using PowerPoint and the other items that I already had out of text. Tried to cover all the bases and such as this. Now, y'all are going to see it again, because when I actually go live with this and go into public, you're going to be on the mailing list and you'll see this thing working around as we go. But this is basically pretty close to what the ad's going to look like. Now it's time to determine the media and the method and the dates. So my method is to use my virtual assistant to help me actually do this. This is a young lady lives over near Charlotte. So her name's Abigail. So I sent her an email just a while ago asking her to let's make this fly. We're going to use different media, which is going to include Facebook, Instagram, MailChimp, and of course our website. And I told her, because I forgot to do it, and you always forget stuff that you want to do. So it's good to do one of your ads and then go back and look at it 20 different times to see what you forgot. And I've done this for years, but I forgot to put in my web link to the website, but she can handle this for me. So I've given her instructions about to go ahead and get the ads posted, and then let me know, and then I will do the boosting. The boosting is saying how much money I want to spend on this ad over a certain period of time, and who the audience is, who the target group is. That's the advantage of using Facebook and Instagram, that you can target the different states or the different towns where your monies are going to be spent. Then I came up with my timeline and told her when I wanted the emails to be sent out. On this particular program, I'm going to send out 4 email blasts, and you'll get one of these, each one of you will, on November the 13th at 1 p.m. Why would I want something to go out on Monday at 1 p.m.? Because someone comes to work on Monday, between the time they get there and noon, they usually have cleared out all their emails. And I don't want to send them one before they clear it out. So when they come back after lunch on Monday, my email will be there, and it will probably be looked at instead of just wiped away as spam, because they had so much. But so we don't need a nice looking entry title. The same thing on November 22nd. You know what that is? That's Wednesday before Thanksgiving. In other words, I want my ad to go in there to be in the mix as people look at their email during the Thanksgiving holiday. In December, people get over Thanksgiving, and on December 12th, I'm going to send them another one. And then on December 22nd, I'm going to send them even another. The program ends, this program has a hook at December 28th. That's what everything ends at. So I've already sent this information telling my manager how to implement this campaign. Then I saw some changes we need to make. I wanted her to make sure we add our landing page link at the website. And then said, oh my gracious, I forgot the hook. I had the target date of December 28th as a hook, but that's not quite strong enough. So we're going to add a promo code for an extra $100. If the buyer gives me that promo code, then they'll get a $100 discount. But what will I get? Well, I'll get an $8,800 order, but mainly when they use that promo code, I will know if they are buying this stuff because they saw this ad. And I'll be able to determine by the number of promo codes that come in how effective this ad has been. That's what promo codes do for you. But you have to have an expiration date there to turn it off. But this is basically building an ad campaign, and I'll invite y'all to follow it with me, ask questions, maybe use it to help you do your promo campaigns as well. So wrapping it up here, thank you for staying with me another 10 minutes. Don't wait till things are just right, because they're never perfect. Never perfect, but it's close to perfect as they get now. So find the self-confidence, self-assurance, leadership, organization, and good enthusiasm to get out there today and tomorrow and this week, and let's see what we can make happen about growing your business. Believe in yourself and trust in yourself. Just get started. Each step you take, you'll get stronger and smarter, and it'll help you become more successful. Thank you so much, and God bless you. I want you to let your light shine and for you to have a great weekend. Let me invite you to turn your mics on, give me some feedback. We'll talk as long as you want to talk and before we turn it off and go forward. Thank you all very much.
Awesome seminar, sir. Thank you so much.
Tim, you're so kind. Thanks for the time. I hope you learned something.
Oh, yes.
Very good. Thanks for being with us. Any other comments?
I have a question about investors. Do they always do they normally ask for a percentage in the company, or is there like a negotiation that you do?
The answer to both questions is yes. However, you can have an investor without them being a owner of stock. There's two types of ways that people buy into your company. They just make an investment, and for that, they expect to get a payment back on a certain date, plus with a certain amount of interest. And what they have to secure their business is a promissory note, a document that guarantees them a certain payment. Now, of course, you might have to offer them some collateral of some type to make an investment. The other type is a stockholder that makes an investment because they want to have a percentage of stock, and as your year ends, if you made profit, they would get a payment back based on your profit or loss. The last thing is, and I don't want you to get confused with this, is the difference in an investor and a partner. When a partner invests money in a business, indeed it may be for part of the stock, but not for a guaranteed payback. It's just that they're not planning to take advantages when you make money, but if you have a loss, they're going to have to take a loss too. It's good to have people that want to invest in your company, and that can be other businesses or family and friends. And if you do business and take money from family and friends, I suggest to it you treat it just like a business loan and you document it. Now, in one of our webinars, which I can send you copies of, or even a videotape of it, I talk a lot about this and exactly how to go about it.
So how do you know, like, what is the formula to know what you ask for to begin with? Like, if I need to have some material to get just some stuff on my website, but it can be where it takes off like an avalanche, or it could be that, it stays quiet for a little bit depending on how, it gets marketed. But how do I know, like, okay, I don't know how to ask for what I might need with my wallet. Like, I would, oh, hey, is it $2,000? I don't know, because I'm basing it off of my purse, first of all.
That's why it's so important for things we talked about tonight that you actually list down and start listing down what you think your startup expenses are going to be and come up with that number. Indeed, you might be able to have a small fundraiser. You might not have to ask for investors, or maybe you want investors, especially if it's investors that maybe eventually will be good customers of yours. So you give all that consideration. But it all starts out with you having a good number for what your startup costs are going to be.
Based off of an annual.
No, your startup. What it's going to cost you to, number one, get started, and number two, stay in business for 30 or 60 days.
Okay. Got it.
Then you'll know what kind of numbers you need to go out and either borrow or ask investors to kick in.
Okay. Thank you.
That's fine. And send me a note if you need more information.
Yeah, I definitely will.
All righty. Anyone else?
I have a question.
All right, Latoya.
Could you explain more about the executive summary when you're doing the business plan?
I'll be glad to. The executive summary is the first thing that's in a business plan, but it's the last thing that you would write. What that is a general overview of what the company is and hopes to be, and also you put in little points in there to encourage the reader to give it favorable consideration and read the rest of your information.
Okay, sort of like an overview of everything you're selling, so to speak?
Yes, but not in detail, just in summary. It's kind of like the movie previews that come out on television when they get just enough information about who the stars are and what the story is kind of about and why you really want to go see it. And then they stop, because what you don't want to do is to tell the whole story in the executive summary.
Yeah, sort of like the hook.
There you go. Well said. Well said.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Your mission, vision, and promise statements really come into play very nicely when you include parts of those in your executive summary. They kind of make it glow and shows people that you're very interested and excited about the business.
Oh, okay. That's good to know.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
I'd love to hear from someone else.
Okay, I got a question.
All right, Eureka.
And it's going back to the startup cost. Okay, for myself, like I said, I do sublimation and crafting, where I already have like my couple crickets, and I have about 3-4 printers, 2 heat presses. So I have all of this stuff inside my home already. So you saying with startup costs, if I already have this stuff, how will I even go back and dock the stuff that I already paid for to dock it down within the startup cost?
Doing exactly what you just said is go back and list everything that you're going to put into business and put a value beside it.
Okay.
And the value you put beside it is what it's worth today, not what you paid for it a long time ago, but what the fair market value of it is now.
Okay, so again, how would I, because that's like reducing the price of it. So how would I even know, okay, what it would cost now if I'm not using the same price that I bought the stuff for? How would I, how would I depreciate it is what I'm asking.
I'm saying that you don't worry about it. You put down what you paid for it, put the year that you paid for it, and then as you see what other people are selling this or that for, you'll be able to get a good feel for the fair market value. Because it's not something you've got to buy again, you just want to make sure it's listed now with a value there, and you want that value to be higher than lower, because it's going to show that you got more invested in the company, and the more you have invested, the better off you are.
Okay, thank you.
It's the stuff that you're going to have to add that's most important to you right now to see if you've got the resources to go forward now, or you need to raise some money first.
Well, I do little events anyway, where I might go out to like a pop up or do a flea market or a stock yard. So I do things now to add in income to the business.
I understand. Well, I'm glad you've got a good start. That gives you a good advantage, and I'll look forward to see how it comes together for you.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and good to have you tonight. Anyone else?
I have a question.
All right, Catlin.
So I have a registered business name that I done about 3.5 years ago, but I never really done anything with it because I really haven't had time because of my job that I work. Would I still be able to use that, or
when you say registered business, does that mean you've got a corporation, a LLC, a business tax number?
Yes.
And is it current and still active?
Yes.
Well, then absolutely the answer is yes. You don't have to go through that process again unless you feel like it will help your business. But even with any registered business name, as you're starting new businesses, you could promote it and advertise it, market it as a DBA, a doing business as, and keep that registered business name as your corporate structure, so to speak.
Okay.
Like I have one corporation, Fast Forward Services Incorporated, but under that, my DBAs doing business as include CarverEquipment.com, the Academy here, 360 training. My book sales are under a different DBA. So there's no limit to the DBAs that you can use under one corporate name. And that doesn't raise the price of doing business for you. If anything, it lowers the cost.
Okay.
And in the handouts that I've sent to you, or will send to you, there's a real good narrative there about how to use those DBAs. You'll probably enjoy reading that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay, anyone else? John, you got anything to offer? Raina, glad to have you with us. All right, then to all of you, I want to say good night and God bless you. I hope you have a great weekend. Stay warm. Do some homework if you'd like to. Do as much as you feel comfortable doing because it needs to be done to get started. But I don't want to scare you off or run you away from the program. So keep coming back and keep learning, and God bless you and your families. And good night, everybody.
Have a great night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Carver, and thank you for your service.
Thank you very much. Yeah, let me remind you, Veterans Day is coming up. If you got a veteran in your family or someone that you want to remember, this is the time of year that you say thanks for